I think it's just that this area attracts talented people, and then they're all talented, creative people, all seeking opportunities to play out, all seeking opportunities to play with each other. And I joke about this on KZE with people that I have in as musical guests, that there's probably a pool of like maybe 500 musicians that are all just in each other's bands, rotating in different formations all the time.
In the valley, moved up from the city. It's a new way of living and I'm trying to get used to it. 1 part blues, half an ounce of an idiot. Ordered a Manhattan and they call me a Cidiot. At first I hurt my feelings, but it's kinda got a ring to it. When you move to the country, they can tell when you're new to it. I'm looking at a place, but I'm trying to keep fitting in. It takes too long to be a local, so for now I'm a Cidiot.
I'm Matt Zucker, and this is Cidiot, learning to live and love life in the Hudson Valley. Ever since I interviewed John Burton from the Home From Here podcast, I wanted to dig deeper into the local music scene. What's so special about music here in the Hudson Valley? There's something, and I just don't know enough about it. Who are the local bands? And in such an enormous area, basically 10 counties, where would you even go to hear them? How do you investigate this? Who do I ask? Well, one idea is to ask a local musician, right? Another source could be, say, ask a radio DJ from one of the local stations that play music nonstop, right? Well, lucky me and lucky you. I found both in one person. Or actually, she found me. MK Scully is an afternoon host and promotions director at WKZE in Red Hook. KZE, you might remember from a long time ago, is coincidentally where I rented an office during part of the pandemic because I both needed to get out of the house and I just love being around the world of audio. MK knows the independent radio scene. She worked at WDST, also known as Radio Woodstock, and WFUV as well. MK and I talk about local music, local bands, and where to hear them. In the show notes and on the episode page are some of the venues you'll listen to her share, as well as some songs about the area. For example, The Catskills Stole My Heart by Burnell Pines, County Road 14 by Dante de Felice, James Felice's new song, My Enemies, with the line, "James, your mom would never forgive me if I let her oldest son die in Poughkeepsie." So listen close. MK sings praises about what's all around us. Hi, MK.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on Cidiot.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. You were the first podcast I reached out to, and you got right back to me, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because you reached out to me, and I'm like, WKZE, that was my old office. And because a lot of people might remember that during the pandemic, when I was going stir crazy, I went down to WKZE because I love radio. I started in radio advertising, and I looked around and I'm like, do you guys ever rent out desks? And they're like, actually, we could. So I started working at WKZE like 3 times a week for many months. I just loved being around all you radio personalities. It was fun.
That's totally the KZE ethos too. Just, oh, you have an idea for a thing that we're not doing, but could totally do. Yeah, let's do that.
And then I took it even further because I wrote my book about my advertising career and I recorded the audiobook with Will at WKZE. So my audiobook is also produced there.
Yeah, that's so cool to know. Now I'm going to go listen.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to listen for that special KZE ambiance.
Well, anyway, enough about me. What about you? So tell me about your relationship to the Hudson Valley. Are you from here? Did you move here?
So I grew up in Northwest Connecticut. After high school, I moved to New York City because, you know, that's what you do when you're from Northwest Connecticut. And I was going to the New York Film Academy, ended up not liking it, stayed in the city for a little bit longer, and then first entered the Hudson Valley after that period when I came upstate to go to SUNY Ulster and then transferred to SUNY New Paltz. So came up to go to school. That was around like 2009-ish. And what kept me in the Hudson Valley was discovering the music scene here. Growing up as an artistic musical kid in the Hudson or in Northwest Connecticut, there wasn't really any such thing, at least at the time where I was, as like a local music scene beyond maybe there's a band playing some covers in a bar that I'm too young to get into. So the kind of origin story of my Hudson Valley music scene love affair is I had just recently moved here. I was set up on a blind date by a person who I had met while I was catering weddings. And this guy was like, oh, like maybe I'll hit it off with my friend. You guys should meet up. So his friend suggested that we go to Snug Harbor in New Paltz and see this band Snow Bear, who I had never seen before, but I was down. And the date never went anywhere. We never met up again. He was fine. But the band blew my mind, knocked my socks off. I was like, can I swear on this podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, holy shit. I was like, holy shit. There is such thing as an amazing original band that like you want to dance your ass off to that you can see for $5 at a dive bar. Like I truly, it sounds insane to say, but I just didn't know that that was like a thing that could happen. So then I got involved in the local music scene from there. I started going to open mics and playing out and meeting people and joining bands. And it's just been the focus of my life here ever since. I started working at Radio Woodstock in 2015 and then was at WFUV for a little while, had my own podcast where I was talking to music people during the pandemic. And now I'm at KZE.
So what is it about the music scene here? I didn't know that was like such a thing here. And you're the second person, John Burton, who hosts the Home From Here podcast, who was on a couple of months ago, also talked about how special the music is up here. Like, what is it? Or like, how would you describe it?
How would I describe it and what is it? It's
like indie? Is it like very folk? Is it like...
It's everything. Genre-wise, it's absolutely everything. There's obviously a strong like singer-songwriter-folk presence, but there's also a really strong rock and roll scene. There's a metal scene. There's bands that you want to dance to, jammy bands, funk bands, certainly cover bands, but great cover bands. I think... Here's my theory. I think just like artistic people have always sought out places like the Hudson Valley has always been this magnet for creative artistic people. Yeah. I think a lot of musicians ended up here. I think part of it is SUNY New Paltz, having a college kind of in the heart of everything. Yeah. And that's certainly what does it for the town of New Paltz. But I think it's just that this area attracts talented people. And then they're all talented, creative people, all seeking opportunities to play out, all seeking opportunities to play with each other. And I joke about this on KZE with people that I have in as musical guests that there's probably a pool of like maybe 500 musicians that are all just in each other's bands rotating in different formations all the time.
No, I can say it's like a community supporting a community. It's also, and the public expects it, but it's also a community supporting each other. Yeah.
Totally. Once you're in it, like you'd be surprised how many people know each other, and you can meet somebody who is a musician in this area and like maybe you don't know them, but you almost certainly have like a dozen mutual friends. And yeah, it's a great special scene. And when I started going to open mics, I discovered like how open to collaboration people are and how welcoming people are. When I was in New York City, I played a little bit. I was just like a little 18-year-old dork with a guitar, but like I went to some open mics and I found it to be kind of competitive and like a little bit more like just more competitive. And here I found it more collaborative where people were like, hey, I liked your songs. Like, do you want to get together and jam? And, you know, trying out bands. And I was living with a roommate for a while who needed a drummer and was like, I'm going to teach you to drum. And I like played a couple gigs as a drummer, like just open and friendly.
Wait, so you do guitar and drums?
I don't do drums anymore. I was really like, he taught me enough to get through a couple of gigs. I would never, ever call myself a drummer. But yeah, I play a little guitar. I actually play trumpet. I'm in a brass band right now called Unicorn Brass Band. That's the house band for Unicorn Bar in Kingston. And I sing. I've been in a bunch of bands as lead vocalist. And I was trying to learn fiddle. I guess I'm still trying to learn fiddle, but it's been on hold because I started getting acrylic nails.
Oh, the fiddle. That's so cool. So what are the bands that either I should know are from the Hudson Valley and I didn't realize they're from the Hudson Valley, or bands that I don't know that you think I should know?
I feel like you probably know most of the major bands that, you know, have come out of the Hudson Valley and are big. Steely Dan, obviously, number one. And we're recording on May 19th, which is Steely Dan Day. And every year on KZE, I get really excited and play Steely Dan all day during my shift.
Oh, that's so cool.
So Steely Dan, obviously, biggest example. The Felice brothers are a huge one, who I'm sure you know, and wonderful people too. And still, most of them, I think, still live around here and play around here a lot, but are also a national band. Yeah, I don't know. The band, obviously, going back to classics, the band and that whole Woodstock scene, Todd Rundgren. There's a whole bunch of stuff out of there. With the Utopia Studios history, you could make. Dylan's not from the Hudson Valley, but certainly like was here for a long time and had a connection to it. So there's like that historical kind of like massive music scene, but more fun to me are like the Hudson Valley specific bands that are like world class. So top of mind, think of like the Big Takeover. Have you seen those guys around?
No, I don't know anything. I'm a Cidiot for music too.
But you've been here like a few years now, right?
Yeah, I'm still kind of a moron, but go ahead.
No, you just got to go to more shows.
Oh yeah, I don't go to shows. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Big Takeover is a great one. If you ever see they're headlining like any local festivals or venues near you, go and see them. You'll have a great time. They are an incredible ska reggae band. Their singer, Nene Rushy, is Jamaican, and she is fantastic. I don't think I have ever heard Nene sing a bad note. She's just one of those singers who just opens her mouth and can do anything she wants with her vocal instrument, which as somebody who's not that great a singer, I'm just in awe of. So they're wonderful. Currently, I really love the band What. That's What with a question mark. They came out of the New Paltz Snug Harbor scene, and Snug Harbor is a really special, like I said, that was the one that kind of started it all for me. It's a little dive bar in the heart of New Paltz, and it has a built-in crowd because like the college kids will go there late night, but the locals are also, really into it. Beer is cheap, vibes are good, and they have a great sound system, which they've spent a lot of money on, and they have live music pretty much every night. And it just goes all night, and you will see some incredible acts there. So What is one of the bands that came out of there, which kind of evolved out of other great New Paltz bands. Like there was one called the Other Brothers who are no longer together, but a lot of those guys are now in What. As well as like a band called Schmave, who does still play. I think there's some crossover in this band Seymour that had crossover with Schmave, and like all of these great bands. And you can find all of their music on your favorite streaming service. So, like these are all verifiable facts.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And are there other venues besides the ones you mentioned that you really like? What are the places people should go? I probably don't even know where to go.
Yeah. Great question. Yeah, Snugs is great for the late night, like, party band type scene, just interesting live music. The Lemon Squeeze in New Paltz has been doing really good stuff and curating really carefully. So has the Park Theater in Hudson. Shannon, who I think like a year or 2 years ago took over the venue, has been doing some really amazing things with it. And he's turned it into this space where you don't necessarily have to know the band that's playing, because you know that if Shannon has booked them, then they are going to be really good. There was a show recently with two bands that I really love, who I've had on KZE a bunch. Western Skies, who are from Nyack, and Western Skies are unbelievable. It's this group of musicians. There's some crossover with the band Schwizz, who are more of a jam band, like a proggy jazz fusion-y jam band. They're also wonderful. But Western Skies is like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young style harmonies and just really like epic sweeping songwriting. And then Ryan, who's the guitar player, who's also in Schwizz, just absolutely shreds. So it's these tight harmonies, shredding guitar, great vocals. So it was them booked with this other band, Bluestone Quarry, who are also tight harmonies, but more of like a folk Americana based thing. And they're wonderful. And yeah, they played a show together. And I wasn't able to go, unfortunately. I think I was on a ski trip. But yeah, they apparently brought the house down, had people walking in off the street, just like, what is happening here? Oh, it's magic. I guess I'll stay. So yeah, Park Theater in Hudson. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But also Bearsville Theater, obviously, is great for, I guess they're doing more touring acts now. Tubby's in Kingston has some really good stuff, really kind of more interesting underground artists coming through. And what was I just thinking? I distracted myself thinking of the Park Theater when there was another venue that I thought of first when you said it.
And I'll put a list of these in the show notes.
Cool. Good. Yeah. Because there's tons of places, and I'm sure they'll all pop into my brain further in the conversation.
And what about WKZE? It's mostly a music-oriented station. How do you decide what to play?
How do I decide what to play? I'm lucky because KZE's ethos is musical diversity, and we are a totally independent station. So I am allowed to just do what I want day to day, as long as it's, and when I say do what I want is also to make my listeners very happy. So I'm not just like playing, stuff that I like that I don't think is accessible. I'm playing things that I think really fit the sound of KZE. But a lot of the time it's this was in my head this morning and I want to play it for you so that, you can have it in your head too. Or I heard this over the weekend and I loved it. Or I've been rediscovering this album. Like lately I've been listening to the Kinks' Arthur album again for the first time in years. That was one of my favorite albums in maybe my early 20s. And I've just kind of been getting back into that. So that's been appearing on KZE a lot. Back to local artists, there's this guy, Matt Duncan, who is more of a New York City artist. So I'm cheating, but I think he has a place in Woodstock. So we're letting him in the family, who is just unbelievably good, like smooth, yachty, like really well composed songs. And I've been listening to him a lot. So I've been playing him a lot. So yeah, it's a special, like old school radio station where really like any shift you tune into is not going to sound like any of the other shifts because we're all putting our personal spin on it.
That's cool. That's great. What kind of requests do you get from people? Do people call in like they did in the old days?
Yeah, no, you know what? Not as much as you would think. I'm a little bit surprised because I am live and I do answer the phone. But yeah, I think I guess I could pat myself on the back and say that people are just enjoying what I'm doing. So yeah,
people don't use phones anymore.
Maybe that's part of it. I mean, I'll get a call every so often. You know, when you get a call when you're a radio DJ is when you say something stupid.
I say.
The one time that you get the year wrong that the album came out, that's when someone's listening who like knows exactly what year that album came out, and they will call you and tell you.
What about music about place? I have the Cidiot song, which I commissioned, and it's all about moving up here in the Hudson Valley and has a lot of local references. But I'm always looking for other music that is about here. Do you know of any songs that make references to the Valley or the Catskills or anything like that I should tune into? Because I'd love to put together a playlist of that.
Tons. Yeah. The Felice brothers, the first thing that come to mind, they have tons of songs like that. And actually I wrote a song for one of my bands once because I had been listening to the Felice brothers and I was like, I love how they use all these specific place names. I want to do that. So I wrote a song specifically, like a little writing prompt for myself. James Felice too just put out a new solo record called The Little Ones that just came out a month ago. And it's fantastic. It's so rich and the lyrics are so funny, but also dark and vulnerable, but also clever. And it's really been blowing my mind. And he's got some good place name drops in there. On the song that I've been playing the most on KZE, which is called My Enemies, he's got a line about your mama would never forgive me if I let her oldest son die in Poughkeepsie.
Oh, that's terrific. Oh yeah, I'm going to tune into that.
So that's a really good one. There was an artist, Brunel Pines, who put out I think like most of the album was about like Hudson Valley love. And there's one specifically called The Catskills Stole My Heart. That would probably be exactly what you're looking for.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's a great one. And Marco Benevento put out a record called The Story of Fred Short because he has the recording studio on Fred Short Road in Woodstock. Yeah, there's a ton of like reverence for this area among artists, and there's a lot of inspiration. I remember there was like Dante De Felice, I think, had a song called County Road 14, and it's all over. You know, we all love this area so much.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'll put together a list. That's cool. That'll be a blog post. So I'm a radio fanatic as much as you are a music fanatic. What is that special connection? I feel like radio has a very special place in the music world still. And also being up here, I feel like maybe because we're in the car or something, but the radio is still very powerful. There's a lot of really good radio stations around here.
Yeah, the Hudson Valley, this is another thing that makes us special. We have at least 3, and somebody's going to write into your podcast and tell you that I'm wrong and there's more, but we have at least 3 independent stations. We've got Radio Woodstock, who I used to work for, Radio Kingston in Kingston, and us, WKZE in Red Hook, who are all fully independent stations. We're not part of any conglomerates, and that means that we have full control over our programming. We're not beholden to whatever weird rating system makes other radio stations have to play the same songs over and over. Like, we can actually bring in variety. And I think all 3 of those stations, local music is a huge part of that. And that was very much my mission when I was at DST, was to bring more local music to the airwaves. Oh. And I think they've continued that even after I've left, which is great. And I know Radio Kingston does that as well. And KZE was already doing it. And they've, let me go nuts and bring even more into the fold. We are a station that is rich with local music and rich with independent radio. And the second I started at DST, I was like, well, these two will taste great together. So, let's get it going.
Yeah, I can see that. That's great. Okay, so say I'm a Cidiot to music, which I am, also to the area too. What kind of advice do you think you could give people to start? Like, where do I start? Like, I just move here. What do I do?
Yeah, there's some Instagram accounts you can follow to find out what shows are going on.
Wow.
DIY Kingston is a really good one if you're in Kingston. There's also the Chosen Family thing was doing I think it was the Chosen Family zine, and they had a really good listing of shows for a while. I think they may have stopped doing that. But but yeah, look for Instagram. Also, Reddit has like a Hudson Valley music subreddit where a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
post
that's
their
right.
shows.
I've seen that on Reddit.
Yeah. So keep your ear to the ground with stuff like that. And also just follow the venues that are in your town. Oh, Avalon Lounge. That was the one I wanted to also mention that flew out of my brain. Avalon Lounge in Catskill is a wonderful venue with lots of great shows that gets tons of local acts through. So whatever town you're in, find out what music venues are there, follow them on socials, and, go to any shows that sound interesting. And don't just go to stuff that you've heard of, go to stuff that sounds interesting to you. Some of the best shows I've ever seen in my life one was at a venue called The Anchor in Kingston that is now Night Swim. And I think Night Swim is starting to do music, but I went to The Anchor to see this band Alten Goon, who are from the Netherlands. And I had never heard of Alten Goon. And I don't think most of the people who were at the show with me, I don't think had either, but we all were just like, we have a feeling we need to see this show. And it was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. So that's my advice for getting into going out to see local music in the area, is just see what's happening, catch a band here and there, and take it from there. If you are musically inclined and you want to play and you want to know, how do I start meeting bandmates and, getting booked and things like that, open mics are the number one thing. My favorite back in the day, this was years ago. Unfortunately, this place is no longer exists, but Rosendale Cafe used to have a wonderful open mic. But again, look for the venues in your town or that are nearby. A lot of them have open mics. Just find out when and go and just talk to people and be open to people coming to talk to you. And that was how I got into my first few bands. And then as far as getting bookings goes, same thing. Go to the venues, become somebody that they recognize. It's really hard to email cold and get a positive response, as everybody who's ever done that knows. So again,
Right.
Thank you for responding to me. But if you become somebody, you don't have to be their best friend or a local that's there every night, but somebody who's there, they recognize your face and you're always chill and nice. And that's when you can ask a bartender, hey, how do I go about getting a show here? Open a dialogue and you'll be way more likely to get a foot in the door.
Yeah. Just showing up is habit.
Yeah, absolutely. And generally for music career advice, I'm actually going to go to something my husband said, which is very correct because he is a career musician. He plays bass and tours, and that's his thing that he does. And what he has always said in regards to the question of how do I succeed in a music career, like playing music, is just be easy to work with. Be cool, if you are the most genius guitar player on planet Earth, but you are a dick, nobody wants to work with you. They'd rather work with the guy who's pretty decent, but really nice.
I think it's true. It's true about being up here in the valley too. It's different than the city. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is. And that was kind of like the cutthroat thing that I discovered in the city.
I think it's true in everything up here. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas here, maybe that is more of a Hudson Valley thing, but I think it is true of the music industry in general, where of course you're going to have your difficult geniuses who are successful. But I think in general, it pays off so much more to be nice, to be easy to work with, to be just low key and practice your craft too. That's important. But just be chill.
Yeah.
It's the Hudson Valley. Just be chill.
Nice.
Down in the valley, moved up from the city. It's a new way of living and I'm trying to get used to it. 1 part poodles, half an ounce of an idiot. Ordered a Manhattan and they call me a Cidiot. At first I hurt my feelings, but it's kinda got a ring to it. When you move to the country, they can tell when you're new to it. I'm looking at a place, but I'm trying to keep fitting in. It takes too long to be a local, so for now I'm a Cidiot.